Action.
Action! Hello, peoples. Welcome to the Stoked Bloke Show. I'm Barton Lynch. That's Peter King. And we're coming to you from the New Earth Project house here at Pipeline. PK, it's summer out there. It's dead flat. The bipolar North Shore has gone to its other extreme, and now it's like the Mediterranean out there.
Perfect for me.
Truth, mate. I missed
How about
that whole
you?
thing. I'd missed that somehow, the whole five-star jets and
But
Kelly's
it also
pool.
costs you 30 grand to surf, doesn't it? Because
Well,
you needed a new hip.
It will cost me, it cost me about 27 Australian
It's
as an
expensive these
uninsured Australian in America. Sketchy, mate. And so, yep, peoples, we just had the hip replacement 3 weeks ago. And big shout out to the doctors and friends and family and people that looked after me over
Who
there.
did that? Was it
Dr. Eberly
Not
did it.
Kramer.
No, Dr. Eberly, and he did it.
Tom Eberly of Lightning Bolts?
Yeah, look, can't you see the shape
Wow.
of me? Likes lightning bowlers, Rory Russell, and we've had chats, and the great Rory Russell's going to come on the Stoked Bloke Show with us. The dog, that's right.
Dog.
Really, the sort of Jerry Lopez was there as the top guy, taking all of the glory, and then right behind there was Rory Russell, and everyone who loved an underdog loved Rory Russell. Flamboyant, beautiful style, doing everything that Jerry Lopez was doing and more, competed, great career competitively as well. So we can't wait to have the legendary Rory Russell on the Stoked Bloke Show. May 15 was the last podcast we did, and we wrapped up early. And since then, we've gone, to Margaret River. That was pretty epic. We'll have a quick look back at that, Geordie and Griff in the men's final.
Griffin
Crosby,
with maybe the best air ever done in a contest.
yep, and Crosby made semis as well. They nearly got to the final together, so that was super exciting. Gabriella beat Katie Simmers in the women's. Bronte McCauley out of retirement got a semis, and Lakey Peterson also got a semis.
Out of
so that was a
retirement,
good event.
walks down the street.
Walks down the street, puts on the jersey, beats the best in the world, makes the semis.
That's pretty cool.
So it was very cool. Then we headed to Lowers. You enjoyed that, eh?
I
Little
did.
air show there. And, my favourite surfer on tour is Yago Dora, has to be said. And he was amazing there.
Do you
What
play
think?
his character in the Barton Lynch Pro Surfing video game?
He is in the game.
A lot
Yago
of the guys
Dora.
in the game are doing good on tour, huh?
Nathan Florence doing good out there in the world. Clay Marzo all just always redefining. Solly Bailey, Flick Parmentier, Mahina Maeda, Vahini Fierro.
What a lineup.
What a talent scout is what I'm saying.
How is the video game company not paying you to coach them as a team or a movement? That should be like your squad that you take around the world and
That's an advanced
come
thought.
on.
Yeah,
Get a
there's
budget, BL. Let's
He's
go.
in marketing, obviously.
Get a budget.
You get the budget, I'll get the surfers, and we're on. So that was good. I thought Lowers was a great event. Obviously, there was some downtime in between. On the finals day, Yago was just going to the air, beat Kanoa. Kanoa had some really good heats, surfed really well. Third place, Jack Robbo and Griffin. So Griff was there after a finals, got a semi. And to me, the thing that I recognised, particularly in the Jack Robbo versus Kanoa semi-final, and in general a little bit, especially out of just watching Rio recently, is that the quality of the wave, the size of the wave is so important. The most important thing is the size of a section.
In terms of judging?
In terms of
the
judging
score?
and getting rewarded for what you do. And in the Kanoa Jack one, there was this opening ride of Kanoas and the score came at 8.33, I think, and I was like, crikey, you think there's only 1.67 left in the whole scale, and he did 3 top turns. Higher performance levels on smaller waves, but it just doesn't count. And really, the way the judging is, and it's been like it a long time, and it's a little bit disturbing because it becomes so much about wave
Now
selection.
you're judging sets.
And you've got to be on sets, and the performance becomes less important than the wave selection.
So
I think
do
we
you
all
tell your-
recognise
Do you
that.
tell your surfer to add 4 liters and go up an inch and a half
And just tell him to look for closeouts and do one big turn.
on a big wave?
Big wave,
Sell
big
it.
turn, and you'll go 8s.
It's always
2
been a
turns.
spray tour.
So it is a little bit... I'd rather see the performance be the primary thing, so it's not so important with wave selection. What you do then is you encourage people to ride waves. No, it's very, very restricted, and there's certain waves that score and certain waves that don't. And if the wave tapers, no good.
And don't get me started. They don't like airs all of a sudden.
Well, it depends too on the situation, doesn't it, and who's doing them. I saw, and that's the other thing, well brought up, segue. If there's a manoeuvre that not many people can do, right? Say it's those big backhand spinners that Italo does. That, say it's Ethan Ewing. He cannot do that.
Can't do it.
100%. And say 90% of the field can't do it, but one guy can. Does that mean that indeed is way more critical, should be scored way up because no one else can do it? Or do you bring the whole thing down where you just score the turns that are variations of what people have been doing for decades, but just done differently, done better, maybe more with more speed, more power, whatever, but it's the same basic performance? Do you not have to at some point go, well, if people can't do it and there's only a certain few that can, maybe it's harder? And maybe if it's harder, then it should be rewarded higher. And I just don't see that. I see 3 backhand re-entries that Occy could do, scoring as high as some crazy whirly-bird that Italo does, and I just don't get it. I feel like it's sort of... And then you couple that with the wave selection, and you're holding the progression back and holding things in a place that it satisfies some of the traditionalists. But to me, the future's something that I haven't seen, and that's what I want to see him encourage, and that's what we see with Italo, we see that with Iago, and we saw it at Lowers. In the women at Lowers, Betty Lou, that was a great win for her. She was sharp, fast. That was the best surfing we've ever seen her do, particularly in a competition. And then Molly Picklum started her charge and then ended up in Brazil and won. So Molly's had a good little run of late. Has thrown herself up the ratings in Brazil. Luana Silva lives here on the North Shore, but that was an amazing result for her, young lady. She's really starting to find her straps. And then in the men's in Rio, Cole, it's an all San Clemente final.
Cole's cool.
Cole's cool. He's big,
Hold on, I'm
he's
going to get
powerful.
something.
I'll have a drink while we wait.
Cole was here a lot, and bless his heart, he hooked us up with something called En Route Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
I don't drink, but somebody's going to drink
That
at some
just looks
point.
like a
And
nice
he
bottle of wine.
left this beautiful note
I guess look.
for us. Read
Oh,
that.
Read this out. To PK and the New Earth fam. Thanks for always hosting us. Enjoy. Love Houshmans. Number
Woo!
91. And congratulations, mate. A
Yeah.
big win. Second win of the year.
We love ya.
Yeah, that is an amazing year for a young man. He beat his mate Griff again. So that's a great
Pretty cool.
rivalry. Super cool story. I thought that was amazing.
He's a hammer, huh?
He is a hammer, mate. He's got the sort of surfing they love. It's so big, it's so powerful. Everything's consequential.
He's 6'10", 420 pounds.
Yeah.
Have you ever stood
For a
next to him?
midget, he's big, eh?
He's massive.
Bigger than Geordie, yeah.
Oh, I think he's the biggest guy on tour for sure. Yeah.
And Geordie Rippon, still in the yellow jersey.
Crosby might be taller,
Yeah.
but
not
Crosby's
as-
like Larry Bird.
What happened in San Clemente? Why are they all so big? What's going on? What a town. What a history. Like I said, we see the Fletchers now. They're out there actively promoting their family and doing projects together as a group. From Gryson, fellow bearded warrior. That beard's a beauty. All the way through to Dad, and then the Hoffmans and all the way through. That is a bloodline that's sure to set any town up. And then you just look all around it, and San Clemente is an absolute hotbed that's really, best days might still even be just in front of it.
What was the equivalent in Australia, in Sydney? Would it have
Sydney
been
was Sydney, mate. The northern
But where?
beaches of Sydney.
Northern Beaches?
Northern Beaches back in the 60s and 70s were the industrial heart of the surfboard industry in Australia. All of the pros came out of that Northern Beaches
But did you
area.
have a beach?
Midget family.
Narrabeen?
Well, not a beach really, because you go from Palm Beach to Manly, and the World Championships held at Manly. Narrabeen's always
Nobody
been doing
good ever came out of Manly, did they?
Oh, just a couple blokes and girls, eh? What about Lane Beachley?
Is
We've done
Lane
this
from
before.
there?
Lane Beachley.
So you're not even the most
Pam
accomplished.
Burridge.
You're not
I'm
even the
not.
most accomplished person
I'm
from
way
Manly.
down the list, eh?
Duke introduced surfing to Australia at Manly, right?
Well, around the corner at Freshwater.
Close
or
enough.
Hardwood. Close enough right there. We
Driver,
always felt the
3-wood,
tradition.
3-wood, you'd
exactly,
be there.
you
Yeah.
would be there. So that's an amazing situation. Let's go back to that event. Miggy and
yeah, there was
Ethan
an event.
third. There was an event, that's right. We'll be quick. Miggy in third. He's been going at it a long time, Miggy, and he just keeps going. He had Adriano de Souza coaching him there, and he was passionate. When he beat Felipe Toledo, he was in tears. And he was just like, he'd won, but it looked like he'd lost. But he was in tears because it was such a big win for him. And then he got Italo, and it was like, wow, this kid's on fire. So congratulations to Miggy.
A lot of friendly fire on the Brazilian Storm side with Miggy going up against those guys. Every time, do you remember going to Brazil and watching those events when you were commentating? It seems like it's really stressful for the Brazilians, really hard to win. Felipe won a couple,
Yeah, it's
but
hard.
man,
Yaga.
Medina. There's 1,000 people around you all day, all your family. Imagine you're trying to focus and just it's such a scene. And then the dudes from out of town that have nothing going on, they just pop out, get 2 good waves, win the heat. It's really hard to win at home, right?
Oh, it was super hard to win as a one of the highest seeds there too, because you got the wild cards, and those crowds are ferocious. They are so behind their guys, So that was interesting. It was interesting to see Griff so loved there in Rio. That was one of the things they kept talking about, but we know why, because he's such a good bloke.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with his interviews. If you speak English, you can't understand him. But I think if you speak broken English, he makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Portuguese English.
Did you see him rapping and stuff?
I saw the rap. That was terrible.
Oh,
please. You would have done better on the spur of the moment.
Anyone,
no
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Massive crowds there in Rio too. They the biggest crowds on tour?
Yeah, they love it. They deserve a better wave, though.
Yeah. Other things that had big crowds, we recently had the paddle out for the great Clyde Aikau in Waikiki. Everyone came together to celebrate I wasn't able to make it. The wound's still healing, people. The wound's nearly healed. So another week I'll be in the water.
There was a big crowd in La Jolla at Wind and Sea for Mike Hynson.
I saw Mike Hynson as well. And, the thing that made me realise is when you were a young Aussie, you had some pretty serious blinkers on. And no American was going to influence you. Whether it wasn't a conscious thing. I just never had an American hero. I never knew really in my mind, or Phil Edwards or Mickey Dora, or any of those sort of people along. They were never heroes to me. It was Midget Farrelly, Nat Young, then the whole Morning of the Earth thing. And so as I've matured, as I've grown, as I've spent time in America, as I've spent time out in the world, I've realised how powerful and important the whole American, Californian, particularly surf scene is to the whole evolution of surfing. So that's been an interesting thing to watch and appreciate and respect more and more as I get older,
I wonder who owns, what culture is more owns surfing, Australia or California?
Well,
or Hawaii?
We would go
Culture
California, wars. Hawaii. Well, California owns those early days, doesn't it? Beach Blanket Bingo and
because
Gidget
they were
and all
closer
of
to
that.
Hollywood and all the media.
That's where the stories
the
came
started
out of.
there, and they were the ones telling the stories.
Yeah.
But you used to tell these stories about how the big three just decided who was going to be famous in Australia.
Well,
you went with Rip Curl or Quicksilver.
Getting a cover shot was a hard thing. They were dictating the terms to the media. They were dictating terms to the surf shops, going, "Hey, you stock that. We won't stock you." They were bullies in the marketplace, 100%. And so Australia would own professional surfing in that sense.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And
especially the start of it, until Tom Curran, maybe.
Exactly. And then the Momentum generation and Kelly and Andy, and then there's this whole other side that takes over, isn't there? Generationally, and then we go into Brazil. And my call is give it 5 and you'll see Europe will have their time in the sun. They've got young people, I've said it before, they've got young kids coming through and people on the big wave side of things and performances at levels that are really incredible, especially in the air with the wave pools.
Does the economy of the location have a lot to do with it?
100% you would imagine so, but if Italo came out of a favela, maybe that's just a personal journey.
Did Italo come out of a favela?
Well, an esky lid, mate, when he started.
A couple did. Him, Adriano.
Yeah.
A lot of the Brazilian kids were wealthy.
Yeah, well, I suppose you need to be really, and in the modern day, you need to be wealthy to be able to do these things. But no one's making much money on the Challenger, are they?
But this gets me back to what they're putting in the water in San Clemente. It's Avion, if you're wondering.
Yes,
and
what
it's
is
filtered.
That? What is that? Evian water?
Well, it's a very affluent town.
You reckon they're all drinking plastic water bottles?
Depending on the day to match your outfit.
Yeah.
Well, this is not a struggling community. No. Everyone's paying for coaches.
No.
You're losing money not being there coaching.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm losing money not being in Australia too because there were so many e-bikes when I was there, mate. When I was in Australia, I was tripping on the e-bikes.
Really?
I felt like, they're flying every kid's flying up and down the road in an e-bike to school.
So they're not sitting on the side of the road hitchhiking like you were with that pedophile guy that made you change into your wetsuit in front of him?
Don't take the story further than it needs to go. The story is I was hitchhiking, I get in the car.
So this is how different it is. Kids on your e-bikes compared to how Barton got to the beach.
Yes, so I'm hitchhiking. I've been there an hour and a half on the side of the road. 3 buses, they go every half hour.
In your wetsuit yet?
No. I'm in live inland, mate. I'm nowhere near the beach.
How old are you?
I'm 12, 13.
Which is like 7 nowadays.
And so I'm hitchhiking. We just use one finger out in Australia.
You don't do that?
Nah, it's not that thing. It's just one finger like that. And car pulls up, I jump in, Manly please, and we're driving along, and the next thing you know, I can, out of my peripheral, I can see this sort of uncomfortable movement, and I sort of look over, and he's whipped his penis out, and he's driving me along to the beach, masturbating with a kid in his school uniform, the filthy fucker. Excuse my French. But that's the reality, mate. I've had some extremely radical stories in my life that would make your hair turn if you let it grow.
That's why you got that grey beard.
No,
32 years old.
Yeah, this is to the bottom of my heart. My youngest brother was molested by his school teacher, and we spent 6 months in court cases with 3 other boys and my brother, taking that filthy guy, pedophile, to jail. He went to jail, but he just got out last week. We've had I've had a lot of experience in that thing, and in a world where people can't get on PK because we all disagree about bloody anything and everything, the one thing we can all agree on is to protect the children. I don't care whether you're LGBTQ or straight or whoever you are. There's only one bunch of people that couldn't agree to protect children. They're the pedophiles themselves. Every other person, the unifying fact for all of us as people, an opportunity to find something that we all agree on and then can move forward to find other things that we could agree on and create more harmony in our existence, is to stand together for the kids and against pedophilia. I will not hear of it described as minor attracted persons. I will not stand for it being considered as a sexual preference and people pushing to normalise the abuse of children. The whole thing to me makes me sick to my stomach.
As it should.
And I stand for the kids, and I call out to everybody to stand for the kids, regardless of who you sleep with, regardless of the colour of your skin, regardless of all that stuff that separates us or is used to separate us. The one thing we can all come together on PK is the kids. So then one of the things we had at the house, which was fantastic, was a photo shoot.
Show me that thing.
For what we call every kid's surfboard or first board.
This has got to be your first board, right?
Yeah, look at that. So think plastic baseball bat.
Perfect for charcuterie.
Would you like your snacks on this?
This is how I would eat. If I still ate ice cream, I would eat it like that. The kick flipper, though. Yeah, pretty fun. Good for super grom while you're watching TV. All the rad dads out there got to get those for their kids.
Yeah, see, if you want your kids to surf or skate or snowboard because you do, and you want to keep them you want to be able to do more of it with your kids around, this is every kid's first board.
Pretty simple.
Toy under $30. Play with it around the house, and we've seen it at work, and it's an amazing thing. So big shout out to them. That was a fun time. Big shout out to a New Earth Project for letting us shoot that here and use the house for that fun little time.
Where are we at in the ratings? Does it even matter at this point? Is there a
Yes,
top 5? Does that
Well, we are. Let me pull that up.
How many
and we'll just
contests we
review
got
it
to
quickly.
go? We got J-Bay.
So we go J-Bay,
Tahiti.
July 11 to
So
20.
is that it? There's just 2 events left now, J-Bay and Tahiti?
Before the finals, correct. J-Bay is 11 to 20 of July.
And this is, of course, our last year of the finals.
That's right. I mean, it would be great to win it at Cloudbreak and it be the last one and be the person that got that. That will be a historic thing that'll go down in time where you were the guy that won it there at that amazing wave.
Who wins it? Real quick, just make a call. So I can
Yago.
pull this up later. Yago's going to win the world
Yago.
title this year.
That's my call.
Okay.
I
can't fight it.
Yeah, then we go to 7th to the 16th of August is the Lexus Tahiti Pro. And then August 27th to September 4 is the WSF Finals at Cloudbreak. Maybe restaurants, but Cloudbreak is one of the greatest waves in the world, and that will be a show. I feel like things have been tracking good for WSL over this period of time since our last podcast. 3 events, great results, good waves. Feels like the good juju is back. Feels like it's a little more, I don't know if it's just me, and because I like the changes, but I feel more interested. I'm enjoying the performances. I've enjoyed the events, and it's going to be fascinating to watch it play out.
Well, there's a couple small wave events with Trestles and Rio. Now it gets pretty exciting. J-Bay and Chopu. Those are real waves.
They are real
So that
waves.
gives your Jack Robinson, Jordy Smith, really, kind of your more established guys.
Let's look at that, mate, because Jordy Smith is in the yellow jersey at this point in time. Yago Dora second.
Jordy Smith's like 63 years old.
Isn't it? It's an amazing story. He's won 2 events this year, and one of them on Dad's board. And
He's got to be the oldest guy on tour, right?
I told you the story about the trophy, eh? I left my Gunston trophy with Geordie when he was 2 years old.
Does he still have it? Does he
Because,
rub
yeah,
it
they've
for good
still
luck
got
in the
it.
morning?
I don't think he needs, so he's got his own to rub now. But so, Kanoa Igarashi up to 3rd, Italo in 4th, Ethan Ewing in 5th.
Sorry, who's in second?
Yago.
Oh, he's right there, yeah.
He's right there. Kanoa, Italo, Ethan, and
Where's
then
Griff?
Griffin 6th,
Gosh,
Jack
he's
Rob,
in sixth a lot.
Jack Robbo 7th, Baron Mamiya 8th, Felipe 9th, Miguel 10th. So that top, those ones, 5 to 10, super competitive. Women, Molly Picklum, the Aussie, blast-off kid. Molly's in 1st, Gabrielle O'Brien in 2nd, Caitlin Simmers in 3rd, Betty Lou Sakura Johnson in 4th, Isabella Nichols in 5th.
There's just not a lot of goofy foot girls, right? I mean, there's just Caroline, really.
Yeah, and she's
And
6th.
Erin Brooks, and she's farther down around 11th. There's
And she's 6th right now. Erin, yeah, she's further down. Look
I thought
at
Erin would be
Luana's
further
up to
along.
9th.
Even though it's her first year, I thought Erin would be further along at this point.
We did expect more. She got a 3rd there in Rio, but we expected more. But that's what happens.
Yeah.
You watch it. It's so humbling, isn't it? You come out of wherever and you're the next superstar and you go onto the tour and the road grinds you down and you have losses and start to have to deal with all your stuff. And it's everybody has to go through it, and she's going through it and learning. And next year will be
heats are
interesting.
30 minutes long. You don't have all day to go out and
Yeah, but
prove your
still,
repertoire.
It feels like all day when you're sitting at home. If you aren't working and doing something else, with that in the background.
And just
who has-
watching, it's very slow, the heat.
Who has time to watch that? That's like watching grass
But
grow,
if you're
mate.
in the heat, how
So-
fast does that half hour go?
Yeah, it depends on your mindset, doesn't it? Sometimes it feels like it's going forever, and you look down, you go 16. And then you feel like it's been 10 minutes, you're looking, it's 15. You're like, oh gosh, it's taking a long time.
But you have Barton
When
Lynch
you're in the
mind
lead.
training, mind control techniques to slow time down, right?
In through the nose, out through the mouth, mate. It's not as real simple. I think Jerry Lopez taught us all that way. Back again, go full circle. So they're the ratings, mate. You know,
Who do
one of
you
the
want?
things.
Who do you think's gonna? Who do you call for the winner of the women's world tour this year?
Jeez Louise, mate.
Molly.
Yeah, I'm going Molly. I'm going Molly
Yeah.
Picklin. She's in the lead now. She can do it anywhere, everywhere.
She's gonna pull in as
Hungry.
much as she can.
Yeah, she's got it in all lefts, rights, big, small. So yeah, I think Molly and winning in Brazil. How hard were the waves there? Frumpy, lumpy, weird things bobbling all over the place. It looked super hard to surf, and she did. She made it look pretty easy. So that would be my pick, mate. Pipeline movie, you've got that ready to premiere. We've
That's
got
right.
premieres
We've got
coming up. What's
3
the story
premieres
there?
coming up. July 9th at the Lido Theater in Newport, July 10th at the Rivian Theater in Laguna Beach, and then at Bird's Classic Surf Shed in San Diego, July 11th. But that's just what we've decided right now for July. We're going to keep it going.
Yeah, they're going to
people
keep
are-
showing them, huh?
People are asking to do showings all over the place, so we'll see. But we've got probably, man, it's one of the coolest movies I've ever seen.
Well,
I mean, despite the fact that I made it. Tucker
yeah,
Wooding
yeah,
shot
yeah.
drone, my nephew Johnny shot video, I shot video all year, and everyone was just accessing Pipeline through the yard. So just turned the camera on them and asked everyone a series of questions. I mean, it's kind of a simple formula, but then you realize these are not simple people. These are the greatest Pipeline surfers alive today. You know, from Uncle Mike, Mason,
Jamie,
Barron, Jamie, John.
Mate.
You didn't ask particularly because you're upset that you're not in it, are you?
What's that?
The Pipeline movie. You have a history out here. You won a world title out here. That story deserves to be
That's
told.
ancient history, mate. We're
Well,
not
this
living on
was,
that.
I did focus on this winter.
Yeah.
It was the best winter we've
Oh,
ever seen.
best winter
So
ever.
many days. And yeah, to hear everyone's fresh, out of the lineup conversations while it was happening is what makes this movie really exciting. You know, Nathan Florence coming up out of the water, Shaden coming up out of the water. You know? So Shado's going to come with me and be in attendance at all the
yeah.
premieres, and my nephew will be there who filmed along with me, and it's going to be pretty fun.
It's a New Earth project is actually why he was in that position, really, when you think about it, because the house, the idea, the people, the access, all of a sudden you're there and it's in your hands and you created this masterpiece.
Yeah, it's
Good
100%
job, mate.
an extension of
Good job.
this location, this
Yeah,
house, the New Earth
exactly.
Project house, and the spirit,
Coming in and out.
the spirit we wanted to create from
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling it, peoples. Another thing I wanted to share, 2 things that I'm feeling quite deeply. Dr. Tim Brown, as we all know, is an amazing treater and healer of humans and has been doing it for decades and decades in our sport. I've had couple of moments, particularly winning a US Open, where I felt like crap. I went and saw Dr. Tim Brown. I paddled out in that next heat and I felt like I was a new person. And inside I knew he turned me on, because my mind was turning me off. And I've had a couple of those experiences. So if you're interested, he's having a surf therapy and surf movement masterclass at Newport Beach, August 1st and 2nd. Dr. Tim Brown on Instagram, you can find out all about that. But if you're interested in surfing, looking after yourself for the long term, surf movement, surf healing, that's a great masterclass to be a part of. And then to our really good mate and family friends, Sean Briley, his son Dakota had a terrible accident here on the highway, and it sort of reiterates how dangerous this highway can be. It's one road through the North Shore, and it's a highway right on the side of the road, and it's taken people out in the past, and Dakota is fighting so strongly. Everyone's praying for him, sending their love the Briley family's way, and I just wanted to let them know that we're thinking of them, sending our love their way as well. It's a very, very tough time. His injuries were crazy. What they're trying to heal and where he's coming back from is, maybe something that most people couldn't come back from. He's a young man, he's fit, he's strong, and we send our love to them and wish them all the very best in his recovery, and hope he gets back to 100% and we get to share some ways with him this winter. And me too, I hope I get back to 100% and get over this hip replacement and get to share some ways with you this winter as well. Thank you, PK.
Yep.
I think we're done. That's where the good juju is, in the connection of human to human.
And if you were Jack McCoy,
That's
we'd be hugging heart to heart.
You'd be going heart to
They
heart.
got the Jack McCoy paddle out coming up.
They got Jack McCoy paddle out. Sad to see he pass as well. So a lot of challenging big things going on in the surfing world and community, in sense of losing people who are pioneers. And I suppose our culture and our sports at that point where that's where we're at, and we're finally kind of starting to see people pass. We're so fresh and so young as a sport and a culture. So, I'm just proud to be a part of it. Hey, bottom of my heart. Thank you, peoples, for watching the show. Thank you, Surfing, for everything you've given me. Thank you, A New Earth Project. Thank you, PK. And we'll see you guys next episode. Thank you for watching.